What's up, fighting fans? We are back here with another fight night on Saturday night, an edition of boxing, and a huge card with a lot of star-studded names on them for this Canelo versus Berlanga card, Mexico versus Puerto Rico. Obviously, I made predictions for this card. And honestly, I didn't even know that this fight was actually happening until I found it out on my timeline between Stephen Folton returning off of the KO loss that he had against Naoya Inoue versus Carlos Castro. Don't really know who he is and what their division is. Obviously, they were fighting for a title belt. I believe Stephen Folton has moved up in weight. So obviously he's looking for more ventures in his career to be able to, I guess, prolong his career and have more accolades for him being another division champion in his career. In the fifth round, he got hurt pretty badly, got put down on his ass, so his chin is not as recovered as it may have been, and Castro caught him with a nice shot. And in the eighth round as well, Castro caught him with another shot that really stunned and wobbled him, didn't put him on his ass, but it was a really good shot to get Fulton's attention. But overall, besides that, it was close on the scorecards. I do believe that Stephen Fulton did outbox Carlos Castro and had his way for the majority of the fight, even though I believe Castro made it a little bit rugged, more than what Fulton wanted it to be. But a good showing and a good outage for Fulton, especially coming off of that knockout from Inoue. So good to see him to be able to be another division champion, or champion just in general for him. Moving up the card, the next fight we had, Romero going against, I believe, Manuel Haime, is a pretty much dude who had a pretty decent record. Not any names on his resume that he has fought, so pretty much a nobody, but just a bounce back for Romero to him to get himself back into the winning column. He looked really, really good. Had pretty much a shutout type of fight for him, showcasing his power and his technical abilities that he has. Because even though, yes, he has got knocked out against other power punchers that he's faced off against because his IQ is very low and he's still a young man, so he has a lot to be able to learn and to grow into his boxing career. But it is very good to see Romero on a winning way and to be potentially a contender back into the division that he's in. I believe it's 135, 140, and get back into big name fights because that's really what he's good for, honestly. Moving on up the card, we had Caleb Plant going against Trevor McCumbee. This was a really, really good fight. But more, instead of it being a really good fight, I will say it was more of a showcasing of Caleb Plant. Early in the fight, Caleb Plant used his range or really wanted to box inside and wanted to be able to showcase his ability at range, what he's known for, his speed and his hands that he has. But McCumbee, honestly, is a strong dude at 168. He wasn't hitting Caleb clean at all with any type of shots, but he was pretty much just pushing him around. He was a strong dude, really strong dude, has a lot of strength for his well-being, and while having good strength, he also has a pretty decent chin. I'll give him that. With good power in his hands. There was a couple of times he landed a nice left hook or right hand on Caleb Plant that shook him up pretty well. But other than that, it was kind of weird seeing Caleb Plant not really have his feet under him. I think the inactivity had to do something with that. But he never really looked like he was hurt in that fight or really wobbled pretty badly in that fight, in my opinion. And then towards the middle rounds of the fight, Caleb Plant decided to take the fight to McCumbee, really started pressing forward to him, getting in a inside the pocket, in a telephone booth, just rock'em sock'em robots. Even though I will say McCumbee didn't land a lot of shots, he landed a lot of nice short shots here and there on Caleb Plant, but Caleb Plant was just really just dominating him. Even with his high guard, Caleb Plant was going upstairs, going to the body, landing a lot of nice shots, mixing up his approaches. A lot of time he used the uppercut to his advantage. A lot of nice times had a really nice left hook. His left hook was landing very nice and very cleanly, whether it be a lead left hook or in a combination. He was landing it pretty well. And until the ninth round, Caleb Plant landed a nice fury along the ropes towards the end of the round, and he was pretty much just beating Macombi up already throughout this entire fight. Macombi just had heart and determination and a pretty damn good chin because he wouldn't be able to go down without a fight, honestly. And the ref called a stoppage to the fight. I think it was a good stoppage, in my opinion. I mean, he was taking a lot of punishment, and Caleb Plant was just having his way. He was doing that the entire fight, or towards the end of the middle, towards the end of what the fight was going to be. So I think it was a good call by the ref, and it's good to see Caleb Plant in winning ways, back to himself, coming off the inactivity. Hopefully now he'll be more active and getting his name back into the stable of the key of 168, now being a WBA champion for himself. Moving up the card, we had what I thought was going to be the fight of the night, but I was sorely mistaken by these elder gentlemen. Arislandi Lara and Danny Garcia in the co-main event. I thought this fight was actually going to be a lot more technical, a lot more boxing-esque, not a lot of power shots or a firefight that you could say what they seen in the previous fight. The fans obviously watching at home or in the crowd between Caleb Plant and Trevor Macombi. It really started off slow and it ended slow. This entire fight was boring as hell. Now, you can't really blame them because, Irizarry Lara being an older man, being 41 years old, but still looking good and looking slick, honestly, giving him some credit. You know what his style is. He is pot shotting you, getting good shots here and there, coming in and out, and not getting touched at all. A very not, like a sore eye for boxing. He hasn't really gotten into a lot of firefights in his career. The only firefight that I can think of is his fight against Jared Hurd. So he's capable of doing that, but really that's not the name of his game. And Danny Garcia, coming off, I think, like 2 years of a layoff and only having like 2 fights in 4 years. I mean, I really didn't expect much out of him, but I did expect a lot more. He just looked so tentative. He looked like lost. He looked confused. He didn't know what was going on. He didn't know what Lara was going to do. He kind of looked like he didn't even want to be there. He kind of looked like he just wanted to get that paycheck and get the hell out of there. And he didn't do much, and neither did Lara, but Lara did more than what Danny Garcia did, and he hit him with a nice jab and a nice right hand. Not powerful enough. I mean, Danny Garcia has a hell of a chin. He's shown and proven that in many of his fights in his career, and that wasn't a shot that was thudding or just so rim rocking that it just had to put him down. It hit him clean. He took a knee, and he just decided to not fight anymore. I mean, his corner called it off, but I don't think that Danny Garcia wanted to continue that fight regardless. Arislandi Lara gets a 9th round KO against Danny Garcia. And moving on to the main event, of course, we had Canelo Alvarez versus Edgar Berlanga. If you if you were just a casual fan of boxing, you kind of already knew how this fight was going to go. I did predict that Canelo was going to get a knockout. I thought that he was going to be able to press the issue a little bit more than what he did, pertaining to more action. But I mean, he did enough to be able to get the job done. In the 3rd round, Canelo landed a nasty left hook that floored Berlanga, put him on his ass, and Berlanga got mad, and he pounded his gloves and got up and showed that he was, it was more of a flash knockdown than him actually being really hurt. But Berlanga just had problems the entire time, just going for feints. It was not moving his head off the center line at all. Was getting stuffed in the face with jabs and tremendous, really textbook type of left hook that Canelo always usually has. Canelo did land a few uppercuts here and there. I think he should have implemented that more into his game plan. He was defensively sound, even though I think Berlanga touched him a little bit more than what I would want to. I mean, at his older age and how many rounds he's already put in, what do you kind of expect? I think Canelo wanted to get more of this firefight. He was very motivated and wanted to teach really Berlanga a lesson, especially after all the trash talk during and before the fight. So he really wanted to press that action and get that knockout. Unfortunately, he wasn't able to do so, but he really just dominated. He just dog walked Berlanga the entire time. Berlanga didn't have an answer for anything. In my opinion, he was just there to be able to get the 12 rounds of experience against his idol, which he said was his idol, Canelo, for the 12 rounds, get his payday, and got what he got to do, and he'll get to the back in the lab, and hopefully the experience pays off for him. Another young, undefeated fighter with a loss on the record because of Canelo, especially at the 168 class. And Canelo just, even though he's getting in, he's already out of his prime, but getting into the age that he has, getting in all these fights, putting a whole bunch of wear and tear on his body. This is kind of more of his swan song type of fights that he's having to be able to show and prove to himself that he still has it and is still cream of the crop. But against these fighters that he's fighting against, besides it being, I would think, David Benavidez, even though he did want to get the rematch against Dimitri Bivol, which would actually be kind of interesting if he did get that. I mean, looking at Berlanga being at 168 and how big he was bigger than Munguia, in my opinion, and Canelo just still dog walked him. I mean, just pressed forward, did what he wanted, landed what he wanted, to the body, to the head, and just made Berlanga look like the inexperienced pup that he was, and did whatever he wanted to do really into the fight. I mean, he got hit and tagged a couple of times. I mean, it is what it is in boxing. Of course, if you're going to be swimming in water, you'll eventually get wet. Um, but honestly, just another showcase for Canelo, another masterclass in him just blowing out the competition that he has as of right now. But hopefully we're able to get some type of step up of competition to be able to really push Canelo, to be able to watch better fights for him and more motivation for him to be able to get more out of him before he gets out of boxing. Uh, so my predictions, especially coming from predictions video, I didn't know that Stephen Folton was going to be fighting, but pertaining to all the 4 fights rest on this card that I predicted, I got correct. I got Rolly right. Uh, I got Caleb Plant right. I got Randy Lara right, and I got Canelo right. So I believe all the favorites on this card actually won. None of the odds-on dogs had a chance really on this card. But it was a pretty entertaining card overall. It was a decent boxing card. I'm not going to say it was trash or whatever the case may be. It could have been a lot better. The best fight on this card, in my opinion, was the Caleb Plant fight. He really, really showed out for the audience and really put on a showcase performance, in my opinion. Canelo did great as well, but honestly, I wanted him to get Berlanga out of there and just really put him out of his misery because he was just taking a lot of damn punishment in that fight. But overall, it was a decent card. I'll probably give it like a 6.5 out of 10. But thank you guys for watching, man. Like this video, obviously, if you like this video. Like this video if you're Mexican for Mexican Independence Day weekend. If you're a Canelo fan, Plant, Lara, Garcia, Berlanga, doesn't matter who you are. Comment your opinions on how you thought this fight went, or how these fought went, or what you thought, how this card actually went in your opinion, and how entertaining you thought it was. Subscribe, man. Subscribe if you want to continue to see these type of content continuously every fight night, every Saturday night. I'm here with you for boxing, of course. I got you guys, and thank you guys again for watching, and peace.